Hello, and welcome to Scott's Amateur Woodshop. I'm in a different location today because today's video is one last tour of the old shop. This is where my ex lives and I used to live, and I just thought I'd show you around. This will show you a little bit about my past, and it's a hint as to what's to come in the future because I gotta move this all somewhere. Where? Well, you'll have to wait and see, but for now, let's check out what the old shop is like. So you can see I've got some colored lights up there that keep changing. That was a fun thing that I made out of some IKEA light strips, and they're all plugged into a sensor and they're all changing on different frequencies. The lighting's kind of hodgepodge, so I'm sorry about that. The three main things I'm going to focus on here are the French cleats, the workbench, and the tool chest, but you'll see some other stuff along the way. So I'm going to start in the far reaches first with the lumber rack. This is a commercial lumber rack, and it's built on these doubled up 2x4 vertical pieces. Once I realized that I had that structure and I could use it for other things, I put some dowel holes down below, so you can just stick some 1.25" dowels in there and extend the lumber rack a little bit lower. I've got some stuff here that I got to use up, including some curly maple from Lowe's. I found out they mix it in with their normal maples, so even though they're expensive, if you get the curly stuff, it's actually a reasonable deal. I built another lumber rack that was made with dowels the same way, and this is going to be a little hard to see, but it's a trapezoid, so you can actually see those pieces are going like this and like that, and the lumber is on there horizontally, and that was nice for having different sizes of lumber, including some short stuff. Right now it's pretty crowded, so sorry I can't show you better. There's a bunch of storage here of stuff that's getting ready to move out. I've got about 30 lineal feet of French cleats on the wall, and it's all evenly spaced out, and that's been real handy. And throughout the video, I'm sure you'll notice tons of stuff that's hanging on there. I've got some CD racks, power strip, cup holder with markers in it, shelves that I put up on the French cleats. I made sort of an adapter for them, clamp racks that are just very much knocked together quickly. This clamp rack is just a block of wood on a hook that I can clamp the clamps to. I've got the first aid kit up on French cleats. I did that thing that people do where they screw jars to the ceiling, except I screwed it to the bottom of a shelf that's on French cleats. I have a bookshelf that's just like a commercially made cube that's hanging on French cleats. I've got a little hanger for my moccasin vise that's just on a cleat here. You can see what that looks like. It's literally just a little block of wood with a notch in it for the screw. So all kinds of things on the French cleats. Those have been immensely useful. You can see more of that stuff. And sometimes something is just knocked together quickly, just to get something on the wall. Sometimes there's a little more thought put into them. But that's a theme that you're going to see developed more in the future, because I'm probably going to take a lot of this French cleat stuff with me. So the centerpiece to the workshop is this Roubeau style workbench that I built with a lot of help from Chris Schwartz's excellent book. I think it's just called Workbenches, the one with the blue cover. He's got a second edition now, last I checked. And this workbench has been fantastic. It took me a while to build it, but you'll notice I have some of the nice bench crafted hardware in here. Turning this, of course, with this block that's called a wagon vise. The leg vise is pretty nice. I love how that spins. Made this nice curve on top. It's, I'm probably going to change the shape of the chop a little bit. It's kind of like I just had freeform carved some of it. I recently made this sliding dead man. Now you can see it's not full of holes. Well, why not? Well, it's because I drilled these little holes, and those show me where to place the holes. But I only felt like augering 2 holes, And when I need one, it's really easy to follow one of those little holes and auger one later. I did the same thing with the dog holes. It's kind of interesting to see which ones I actually need over time. You can see it's not completely Swiss cheese. I've got a few here, and I did the same thing. I just drilled these little holes, proto dog holes, if you will, with an 1/8" bit and a vertical guide, and then I can follow them with the auger bit anytime I need. And it's been interesting to see a lot of the hold-fast holes around the vise have come in handy. This one has come in handy for a bench stop, for a planing stop. But this whole row, isn't necessarily done. And I found particularly pinching, boards between these dog holes and the wagon vise, it can bow up a thin board. So it's good for thick boards, I think. And these are just the lengths that I've happened to use. Not these ones in the middle, interestingly enough. They just haven't come up yet. There's a shelf down here, which is really messy. This is actually in a few segments, and it's just sitting here, so they lift up. Let me show you what that looks like. You can see it lifting up. So the other thing that I get a lot of mileage out of in this shop is my tool chest, which I built based on the Anarchist tool chest book. Now, I took his advice about sizing it to your tools. That's Chris Schwartz's advice. He was the author of the book. But I did not take his advice on making it 24 by 24 by 48, which is the usual size of sizing it to your tools. I got only panel saws, and so I thought I could get away with making it a little smaller, and I have some regrets about that, to be honest. It is just very tight to pack everything in, and as a result, I've done some things to get the most out of the space, and I'll unpack it a little bit and show you that. This is like a sub tour of a subset of the shop, right? So I put a bulletin board up here, put some business cards up there. This is a little extra platform that sometimes odds and ends end up there. I will take that out and put it on the bench. Next I have my saw nest, and it really needs to come out to use the tills. So out it comes. And unfortunately some of my saws have developed some rust. I haven't been around to keep an eye on that, so I'm going to have to catch up on that. You can see I made a couple of little sliding trays here. I have a bunch of nail sets on this one, and some shavings apparently. And in this saw nest, I've got all the rip filed saws with the handles on this end, and all the crosscut filed saws with the handles on this end. So the crosscut side, I've got a carcass saw, and I've got two panel saws with different teeth per inch. And on the rip side, I've got the dovetail saw, a sash saw, and a panel saw. And those have served me really well. There's also a slot for an Azabiki, and my Ryoba would be in there if I was living in one place right now. So then the rest of the tool chest, you've got these 3 sliding tills. So the idea is that you can array them like this, or the other way. I have these pull holes, so you can array them so you can reach a lot of stuff in one reach after you unload stuff from the bottom. And then if you look down in the bottom, you can see I've got a lot of my planes down there, and then I've got this chisel rack along the front. Now my tills are wide enough to hold a lot of stuff, which means you can really only reach 2 of them completely at once, but you can also reach 3 of them incompletely if you array them that way. So it's a bit of a compromise. The idea with these tool chests is that you unload planes out of the bottom when you're setting up for work. In my case, I would take the saw nest out, also put these things on the bottom shelf of the workbench, and then you array the tills, and then you have many of your tools one reach away. So this has been a nice shop to work in. The flow of it is, there's enough room to walk around my bench sometimes. Right now I've got a lot of lumber behind it because of a bookshelf project I'm working on when I can be here. I recently put the workbench back up on wheels, which these pieces of plywood down here actually flip like that. So this can sit flat on the ground with no wheels, flat on the floor with no wheels, or it can sit on wheels. That gives me a little flexibility in terms of the height of the bench, as well as moving it around. And there's some other neat things I did in here too. I'll just show you a few odds and ends. This is a big clock that I mounted up, which was sometimes useful to have it staring me in the face to keep track of time. I have these old Dahlquist DQ10 audiophile, entry-level audiophile over speakers, which I have hanging in these like gym ball bags. They have no cabinets and they sound good this way. Sorry about that beep. Some kind of battery backup thing on the internet here. I'm not sure. It's not my problem anymore. Yeah, that's the shop tour. You know, I didn't really show you this area too much because it used to have a secondary workbench here, and now it's full of scraps and things on the way out. But I just kind of wanted to show you that I do have a tool chest and a workbench, and sometime soon these are going to move, and sometime soon I shall be able to use them again in a different space, and that's something we can look forward to, and we can explore some more woodworking topics, especially hand tool woodworking. I'm set up to do everything I need to do with hand tools, and I'm also going to be set up to use some power tools. You'll see that as well. So I want to remind you to use the buttons below, check out the description. Sometimes if I forget to say something, I put information in there. And thank you so much for coming and watching this video. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.